It's pretty.
All right, the time is now 6:04 p.m. I call this meeting of the Godley Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, and that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551. At this time, we'll have, I believe, our jazz band lead us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor and Texas God, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. We'll now ask Mr. McFarland to lead us in the invocation.
Let's pray together. Our Holy Father in heaven, we come to you so grateful for your love and for your protection and for your power. Father, we know that all things come from you. Father, we're grateful for this great community that we can be a part of. We're grateful that we can be a part of this great district. Father, we ask you just to bless each and every one that's here tonight. May our thoughts and our ideas be for the well-being of our students. Guide us in all that we do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Dennis. Next, we'll move into recognition, and we have the Godley ISD State Jazz Band.
They do a lot of great things, a lot of great different avenues. We have a lot of great adults that work with them all the time to make that happen. The one tonight is Mr. David Kennedy. I'm going to let him come to the mic and describe what this jazz band did. But Mr. Kennedy is one of our band directors here at the high school. He oversees the jazz group specifically. He opened that program, I think, 4 years ago, and has run it since, and we have seen great growth from these kids in the jazz program. So without further ado, Mr. Kennedy.
The students before you are Julia Roy, Eliana Villa, Cooper Holzhauser, and then one not here tonight is Hunter Hart. They competed in the jazz region audition process, and band kind of does things a little different than athletics. For some reason, we go region area than state instead of area region state. So these four individuals tonight all placed first in the region, and then advanced to the area round, where they then went to do a recording. And then those recordings are then submitted to a single panel for a state level audition. And then Julia Roy placed 14th out of 59 trumpet players. Eliana Villa placed 6th out of 18. Cooper was 4th out of 18, and Hunter was 13 out of 20. So again, that was out of the entire state who advanced to essentially the state level audition round. It's a pretty tight competition. Piano player, they only take one. Electric guitar is only one. Then bass guitar is one. Then trumpet, they take 5. So we were all extremely close and couldn't be more proud of their hard work and their continued dedication to their craft. So congratulations to them. So you have Cooper Holzhauser, Julia Roy, and Eliana Villa, and then not here tonight is Hunter Hardin.
All right, we will now open a public hearing to present the district's annual first report. Mrs. Palma will be presenting the report this evening. And Mr. Palma, we're ready for you.
Good evening. I am Brandolyn De Palma. I'm the Chief Financial and Operations Officer for ISD Region 11, and I am helping out in the absence of a CFO here at Godley. So I'm very happy to be presenting your school first rating, just as indicated. Your school first rating is your financial integrity rating system that TEA issues to every district and charter each year. One thing to point out that is important to notate is the 22-23 rating is based off of your last audited financial data from 21-22. With that, I'm very proud to share that once again, Godley received a superior rating. So that is the highest rating available that a district can earn. Again, that's a superior rating, so congratulations on that. And with that, I'm going to kind of walk you through the packet that you received as far as all of the data and the indicators. In all, there are 20 indicators. You can receive a possible maximum score of 100 points, and Godley received 90. So out of 20 indicators, you received the maximum of points available. There was only one indicator in which you did not, and I'll touch on that in just a few moments. But again, kudos to y'all, superior rating. So with that, if you want to look in your packet, the first report just details all of the travel reimbursements that the school board and Dr. Deere received for any district-related travel. Then if you look at the next page, it details that Dr. Deere did not receive any type of compensation for any outside professional consulting services. In addition, it notates that there were not any executive officers or board members that received any type of compensation or gifts. The next page also shows that there were not any business transactions between school district members or board members. And then with that, we can take a look at the actual 20 indicators. So again, this is based off of your last audited data from 21-22. You can see you had a past superior rating of an A, highest rating. You received a district score of 90. These 20 indicators, there's a combination of about half indicators that are yes or no, pass or fail indicator questions. And then the other half are all formulas based on certain ratios looking at either your debt, your fund balance, how healthy is your fund balance, and all related to your audit. So one of the most important things to notate, one of the first things that they ask is all in relation to your audit. They want to ensure that you did receive an audit that was an unmodified opinion, which is good, and free of any material weaknesses and deficiencies. Godley passed all that. They had an unmodified opinion free of weaknesses and deficiencies. Were you in compliance with all of your debt payments? Yes. Number 4 is looking at, did you make timely payments? So timely payments is, did you make Godley pass there? Looking at indicator 6, that's what's looking at maintenance and maintaining that. You pass that there. Looking at 7, it's looking at your cash on hand and your investments. You pass there. Indicator 8, looking at your current assets to current liabilities. Looking at short-term debt, we passed maximum points there. Indicator number 9, was your general fund revenues equal or did they exceed your expenditures in general fund? Full points there, 10 points. Indicator 11 is looking at long-term liabilities and total assets. Again there, Godley got the full points, 10 points. Now the next indicator, indicator 12, is the only indicator that you did not receive the maximum amount of points available. This indicator is looking at future long-term debt and property values. So one thing that I think is important to notate on this, I did some research. There's 9 districts in the state that also only received a 0 for this indicator. All 9 of these districts are rural, fast growth districts. So you are one of the 9 that just happened to be in a very fast growth district for data purposes. You were one of the highest out of the 9. You had a 15.84% growth in property values that year. So looking at your current data that we have, I project that probably within the next 2 years you will get out of that 0 point. You'll start gaining points there. But the other 9 districts that are very similar to your makeup, Aubrey ISD, Van Alstyne ISD, Cato Mills ISD, Tioga, Melissa, Princeton, Wellman Union, Granger, and then Godley. So it's nothing to be concerned of, and you will eventually move out of that and start receiving points in this indicator. And again, it is the only indicator that you did not. So then district's administrative cost ratio equal or less to the threshold. Again, that's just looking to make sure you're not top heavy per se. Got maximum points there. Moving on to indicator 16, it's looking at your PEMS data, so all your PEMS data that was uploaded in comparison to your AFR that you provided that correlates so that there was not any misinformation there. Got full points there. 17, again, looking at your AFR, was it free of material weaknesses? Pass there. 18, did the external independent auditor indicate that the AFR was free of any instances of material noncompliances for grants and contracts? Got maximum points there at 10. Then 19, did the school district post the required financial information? Full points there. And then lastly, did the school district's administration school board members discuss any changes and or impacts to local, state, and federal funding at a board meeting within 120 days? Pass there. So in conclusion, superior rating, score 90. And the last piece of data that was provided in that packet is just Dr. Deere's contract for that fiscal year 21-22. With that, I'll open it up to any questions.
Thank you. We will now close the hearing on the district's annual first report and move into superintendent reports.
All right, we'll start with construction updates. Who wants to start us off? Rita?
All right, so construction update for November for the Fine Arts Edition. I'll start with this picture overall site. We've got the topping slab board on the storm shelter. We don't have any roof on the storm shelter yet, but the rest of the building is completely dried in. It's another view from the south elevation. All of our creek veneers up, and you can see, I guess you guys can probably see a little bit better than I can, but we've got most of the RTUs up, and seal and I and parking area is completely dried in with RTUs. Then from the north elevation, a little bit of framing and sheathing to do back towards the storm shelter. That should be done in the next 2 weeks. Get some interior photos. This is from the serving lines looking out to the north. All of our framing's done. 95% of our overhead's done. We should start ceiling grid, ceiling framing this week. And we've got sheetrock going up on the walls. This is the view looking from, sorry, I can't really see that. Okay, no, this is the view looking from the temporary wall we've got looking out. Again, you can see framing, sheetrock. And this is looking back towards the kitchen and serving area. Again, all the framing's up. And this was at about lunch. This was around lunch today. And I think we've got probably 50% of the sheetrock up by the end of the day today. So they're moving along pretty well. And this is the art rooms. We've got all the framing done. We've got our in-wall inspections passed, so we'll start covering those up tomorrow. And this is the storm shelter. Started seeing you on the north half of the storm shelter last Wednesday, and then continued today. And they're up about 12 foot on half of one of the bays. So seeing you progressing along really nice. And then this is the other half of the storm shelter that we just poured last Tuesday, and we're going to get the concrete a little bit of time before we start putting equipment, and we'll start going vertically with CD. Expect all the CNU and storm shelter to be done in the next 3 weeks. We've got in the other area, we've got kitchen equipment that's going to come in, not next week, but the next. Flooring, tape bed, texture paint supposed to start this Wednesday. So everything's progressing along pretty well. And that is the end of the presentation. Any questions?
Sorry about the delay there. So what is your projected substantial completion date?
Still January 24th of next year. We're pushing to get the kitchen area, the CL&I, and art rooms by January 10th.
Okay, thank you. And then I know you and I spoke a little bit earlier, but I want to re-ask that question just for the benefit of everybody else. So in prior constructions, we had significant delays in getting different types of equipment, electrical equipment, or whatever. So are we experiencing any delays? And if so, what are we doing to mitigate those?
Yeah, we've got, I think almost all of our equipment is on site. The one thing that we weren't able to get on time is the main switch, the main electrical switch. It's a 2,000 amp switch. It's sized to serve a future addition. The addition we're building only needs 800 amps. So we, I guess somebody came up with a new business model to rent temporary electrical gear. So we're renting an 800 amp switch to serve the new addition until the permanent one comes in March. As of right now, last I heard, it's supposed to ship early March. We're hoping it ships in time to do that swap out over spring break.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anything else? Okay, thank you, sir. S&P.
Going through the November update for the Wild in the Arena. You can see here, this is looking from the southwest side of the Wild. You can see we poured the second portion of concrete on the south side around the softball bat pool's right there. We intend to continue around. We're doing the dirt work in the area just south of it with the intention of pouring that in the next coming weeks. You can also see from this, you can see in a further picture, the turf is all pulled up there, as well as an additional crane, which is really displayed here. This is from the 50-yard line, looking at the east face of the CTE. You can see we have all the precast. This is actually an older picture. There's still 5 pieces there, but all the precast has since been set. of the top portion there, so all the bleacher section is completed. They're doing some final grouting of the pouches there, and they'll come out and start doing the bleachers here probably the next month. We'll start wrapping that up. You can also see here we have all the penthouse blasted, and once that crane gets out of the way, we'll start wrapping up the metal panels on this side and really start making a big difference there on the finishes. And you can see again right here, the entire turf has been pulled up, exposing the subgrade. Once the crane is out of the way, we'll pull up those mats and start the rework of the track surface there. You'll see on the south or east side of the track, we've actually already started some of the rework of the curb and the digging of the sidewalk that goes around the track. This is again the northeast corner of the CT. This is showing the metal panels. We have the rest of the metal panels around the second week of December, which we're closing those gaps you see there with the accent color, completing the exterior finish of here. A little bit of dirt that's exposed here. We have all of the site, and we are pulling that up, getting ready to pour that second week of December. That'll be the entire sidewalk portion there, going all the way down to the south side. This is inside the wild. You can see we have finishes going on in the bathroom as well as down the corridor. On the right picture here, you'll see the installed main switchgear. This is great news. It's actually up and energized, so we currently have permanent power from the CTE. Good news that we got it turned on, so we'll be slowly removing the temporary power, so we'll make that switch over when that's installed for use and energized by equipment. That also brings us over the break. You see here, this is the arena. We've actually performed a shutdown over the Thanksgiving break and pulled permanent power into the arena as well. So currently both facilities have permanent power. The main switches installed and energized switches. We're right on time and right where we need to be. This is looking inside the arena. One huge difference you can see here is on the left picture. We actually have the scoreboard installed, as well as the basketball goals around it. You can still see our dance floor on the higher portions where we're wrapping up the burr down steel and framing that wraps the center of the arena, and get ready to drive all that up. So we can pull that out and get continuing finishes. As of right now, the stadium, the arena floor is to be here beginning of January to finalize. You can also see we're installing the storefront, which you'll also be able to see out there on the east side on the first floor, and we'll be starting on the second floor of the sanctuary. This is section F, which is the visitor side. This is, you can see we have all the concrete poured with the steel. They have a crane out there right now setting the steel beams, and that will continue on until the end of next week, setting the horizontal beams on those concrete cast in place. Any questions?
Similar question, what is your current projected substantial completion date both for the CTE and for the arena?
The CTE right now is tracking for February 22nd of 24, and the arena is April 29th, 22.
And are you experiencing any equipment similar to what Reader is experiencing?
Thankfully, all our mechanical equipment's already on site, installed, and in place. And obviously, the main one that most companies have been having issues with is the switchgear, and we have that installed now and energized. So the major delays of the material stuff has been pretty much reconciled. Thank you.
Okay, now we'll move into CBAS signal.
All right, good evening. We're glad to come back and update you all with our signaling following quarter one. Have each of you So just as a reminder, there are 7 pillars, and just as we built this from the beginning, we built it in pieces rather than going for the whole thing at one time. I believe that provided a great benefit to us. So over the course of the year, we will bring you pieces of our signaling chart. And so tonight, following quarter one, we wanted to give you an update on student learning progress and community engagement and partnerships. And then over the course of the year, we will continue to bring you this, give you our signaling on how we're doing on things, if we're on track, if you make an adjustment. We will always bring you pillar 1, student learning and progress, and then after each quarter, we will bring you additional pillars before August, and at which time we'll have our second annual publication of our community report. So on the packet that I just handed you, there is the district signaling chart, which takes each campus and puts it on one page. So we have a view of what's happening throughout the district. So what I want to do now, though, is bring the people that are doing the difficult work and working on each of our campuses and let them present to you what they're doing on each of the campuses. So we'll start with youngest to oldest, talking about kids, not principals. So principals, if you wouldn't mind coming and sharing with the board, pillars 1 and 4.
Good evening, Amy Hill reporting for Legacy. I wanted to say that just some notes on what we're on track. You see that we're on track on Pillar 1.2, explore content at a deeper level. We are doing that through our PLCs, our data digs within the teams, how they align vertically, how they align horizontally, and then we are still growing in the world of ARC, American Reading Company. We are on track for 1.3 as well, which is learning aligned to student needs. We do that through small group instructions, meeting the students where they are and growing them where they need to be grown in the form of small group, with a program and platform of progress learning, and then data that we receive from MAP and our CBAs to help drive instruction where the needs are for our students. As far as community engagement and partnership, we are on track in 4.1 with our community as partners. We have experiences in the classroom, community helpers coming in, the senior projects coming in. We have Ag Day by one of our seniors coming very soon to Legacy. And in 4.2, we are also on track as parents as partners with increasing our volunteers. We had an opportunity just recently with Legacy Reads, where we had some parent volunteers come in and take time reading with the kids, and it was a lot of fun. They dressed up. It was on Halloween. And then our PTO is thriving at Legacy, so I'm very excited. Any questions?
Yes, Ms. Hill.
Yes.
So in relation to 4.1, community as partners, Legacy is making a change, and you're on track for it. But the changes you're making, how does that align with the other elementaries? I see those there not making changes, or maybe they're considering a change. So help me understand how this keeps the elementaries aligned.
I'll let them help answer that too. I don't want to speak for them. Hi, so at RBE, you'll see that we've addressed your question in 4.3. We have made a change there. I'm just addressing it through that line. We brought in our house system where we are doing community service projects monthly. And this is to help the students understand that they are part of the community and that they are partners in the community. So that's kind of where we're addressing it at RB. It may look a little different than what Ms. Hill is doing, but we are also bringing in volunteers, asking people to read with our students, and our PTO is also at thriving as well.
I think part of the reason why they're not all exactly the same doesn't mean we're not all focusing on those. It's just where we're putting a little more of our attention based on our population of students, or when we split up, there might have already been a core of parents that were at one campus where the other needed to build their PTO or those kinds of things up. So I don't think that this necessarily shows that we're not in alignment. It just shows where we knew we needed a little extra charge at our particular campus so that we did keep that consistency among the campuses in terms of, I know the other two campuses, for example, one of mine in the area, in the area of Ford, they already had clubs going at their campuses, but by nature with my campus being over this time last year, we didn't really get that up and going. So that was an area that's my focus this year so that I can get back on track with them. So I think that's where you might see that we'll differ in a few areas. I know we're not talking about one of the other pillars, but for example, they're working on collaboration spaces, but by nature of my campus, that wasn't a focus. So it's just some of those kinds of things that we're trying to plug in to keep us, as consistent as possible, but not that we're, going off in a different path. That kind of answers that question. And so to speak to my campus in the area of student readiness engagement, that is an area I think that we're all focusing on, continuing with our American reading, and then pulling in our math. I've been very excited that this year, through our curriculum and instruction department, we've had some great planning days on our PD days, and our teachers all get together by content and by subject across all three elementaries, and they've been planning together to kind of do what you're saying, to make sure we are mapping and keeping our curriculum-based assessments are the same. That way we're all giving the same assessment so that we can gauge our progress through that. So I think it's just those little bit of tweaks and why some of us might be a green instead of a yellow or a purple, but none of us are like a red or purple. That's when I would, if somebody's really making a big, huge change and somebody gets their sailing across, and that might be a good one we need to talk about. But hopefully that answers your question.
Okay, and then I just wanted to finish up with telling about my student learning in progress. So 1.1, we are staying at just maintain. 1.2, we are focusing on, as I talked about last time, our small group instruction and our PLC time together, which I addressed more in 1.3. I did go ahead and go back to red for this first quarter because we did make a big change in how we are addressing data in our PLCs. And I wanted to be sure that I signaled that to you all and to the community so that they knew that was something that we were working on. We are still on track, but it was a big change in how we were running our PLC time, our professional learning communities. So we have been looking really at our curriculum-based assessments, our MAP testing, our M-class testing, and just recently we brought on board looking at our walkthrough data with our teachers to show them what we're seeing when we're coming into the classroom and opening up that dialogue about powerful moves that we can make next. So I want to be sure that you guys knew that going from yellow to red. And I'm anticipating to go back to yellow, but I don't want to jump the gun. I want to see how it goes with this quarter that we're in. So thank you for your time.
Okay, good evening, board. I once again have the joy of working with Mrs. Wynn with the 6th grade campus and middle school being a joint campus. So we had a minor change that we consider to be on track. Both campuses have been able to provide teachers a common planning time. We also have our regularly scheduled PLCs meetings for our teachers. We will come together. We're working specifically with how to gather, analyze, and utilize student data to better provide instruction for students and take the instruction to students' needs. And speaking of that, we use a program called Progress Learning, which it talks to the students take the MAP test, the Measure of Academic Progress test. They take that 3 times a year. And so this program, Progress Learning, talks to that program, and it tailors specific lessons and tutorials to the needs of those students. So during our homeroom time or before school or after school time, students are able to work on anything that they need based on the MAP test and the tutorials that is given them. We also, as far as community engagement goes, we have started utilizing, as the whole district has, Parent Square, and that is going very, very well. Heard phenomenal feedback from the community, from parents, from teachers, about how easy it is to use and how they're able to streamline their communication effectively. And I get a weekly report, and Parent Square is being used. It is definitely being used. So we're trying to keep the community engaged as much as possible. Questions for the 6th grade campus and middle school? Thank you, Board.
Good evening. So for the pillars 1 and 2 for the high school as far as he stands, first one, pillar 1, one of the things we're working on in ways we're held accountable by TEA is on our results-driven accountability system. They track special populations of students, ELL, SPED, and those things. Some of those numbers have declined in the reading category for English 1 and 2 specifically on the EOC exam. So last year our English teachers did a lot of work on open-ended response questions, how to pull text evidence, and how to systemize that so kids could work on that. We saw great results this past year from the STAR testing, so we're still implementing that. So that was the biggest change we made in student learning and progress about learning basic academic skills. It was how to pull open-ended responses and use text evidence to support student justifications. We systemize that now, and it's across the 4 core content areas, math, science, social studies, and ELA, in freshman and sophomore years at the high school. So that's what they're working on right now. It did change from red to yellow, you can see, because we were on track. And the light sensor is only 20 feet in a 24-foot building, so that's why that light goes off. So we did it so we have good progress there. 1.4, we talked about our collaboration spaces and putting a little more structures in place of how students get out there and go back in and out and use them fluidly, instead of just going out there to get away and not work. Maybe get to hang out and just socialize. So we put a few things in last year. They seem to be working really well, so we're still tracking those to see how those go. And then for 4, Parents as Partners is Parent Square. Y'all know at the high school there are tons of extracurriculars, and some of them were using whatever app or social media they wanted to use to send information. So it was really hard on parents to go to each different site and find the information. Now on Parent Square, it's in one stop. So parents can get all the information for all the clubs or activities their children are in. I love it as a parent. 3 kids across basketball to band, FFA to whatever, middle school, high school. It is so easy to navigate. Oh, where's that one search I'm looking for? And I can only get in. So that's been our biggest piece with the parents. This Parent Square, every extracurricular is on board and using it, so it's been successful. So there's 1 and 4. Any questions for the high school? Thank you.
Yes, sir. Question for you. Nice trying to do it right there. So help me understand in that area 4.2, Parents as Partner, that we, as the end of the summer, we consider ourselves green, and we now are considering ourselves yellow. I realize it's a minor change, probably nitpicking on a small thing, but there's something that triggered you to go from green to yellow. So help me understand.
Yeah, that was Parent Square. Green is watch it, consider a change. It's not perfect the way we want it, but it's where we want it. We might want to change it. The district-initiated Parent Square is that the entire district would do it. So the high school got on board with, all our coaches get on board with Parent Square. This is what we're doing. So we changed because the district would change and get on board with everything.
Thank you.
Yep.
we have anything, you already covered district stuff. All right. Thank you guys very much. That's it for superintendent reports.
At this time, we extend the opportunity for the public participation portion of this meeting in compliance with section 551.007 of the Texas Government Code. I believe we have approximately 10 people wishing to address the board tonight. Public participation provides the general public the opportunity to address the board regarding topics listed on the agenda. Persons attending the meeting and wishing to participate in a public forum must complete a sign-up form and submit that form to the board secretary or designate 10 minutes prior to the meeting being convened. Each individual addressing the board will have 3 minutes to make their presentation. Personal attacks on district employees or students will not be allowed. All participants are expected to speak with respect and civility and maintain a calm, professional demeanor. Upon expiration of the 3 minutes, I will call the next person that signed up to speak. Please note the Texas Open Meetings Act does not require the board to respond to any comments or complaints from a member of the public regarding an agenda item. We will now begin public forum. And first we have Noah Olson. Ms. Goodlow will keep your time and she will notify when you have 1 minute remaining.
I'm sure that's fair.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. You claim you value community input and are committed to providing access to school board meetings, but repeatedly demonstrate a lack of transparency by not providing your stakeholders with any documentation of potential revisions that would dramatically alter our ability to provide input. That's unprofessional at best, tyrannical and deceitful at worst. Considering such revisions include verbiage defining disruptions that include acting in an unprofessional manner, audible utterances, other frequent or flagrant deceptive behaviors, these are incredibly subjective. Who is making the decisions whether, for example, an audible utterance would include a heavy sigh? As a Godley ISD leader accused me of on social media of doing at board meetings. This sets an incredibly dangerous precedent. Your BED legal policy quotes our U.S. Constitution, which protects freedom of speech. The Texas Constitution, which says, apply to those invested with the powers of government for redress of grievances or other purposes by petition or address or remonstrance, which I will remind this board, the definition of remonstrance is a forcefully reproachful protest. And public criticism, which says a board may not prohibit public criticism of the board, including criticism of any act, omission, policy, procedure, program, or service. Number 7 of your agenda states, per HB 2840, and your BED local policy states, at other times during a board meeting, the audience shall not enter into discussion or debate on matters being considered. But your policy conveniently leaves out the rest of HB 2840, which states, quote, or during the body's consideration of the item. You attempt to usurp the rights we have by continually seeking to change local policy to fit your agenda.
30 seconds.
You are creating the polarized, divisive climate, not the stakeholders attending the meetings who demonstrate dissent. Board members, do not forget you are voted into the position you have. You work for the stakeholders. You can be voted in and you can be voted out. More importantly, as a duly elected board member, you have a responsibility to uphold the U.S. and Texas Constitution and therefore the rights they afford your stakeholders.
Thank you. Next we have Holly Clemens. Your time will begin now. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Holly Clemens, and I am speaking on 8E. So I was looking over what was provided to me, and you got 3 pages is what you gave the public. And your agenda was almost 1,300 pages long. That's how much you hid from the public. And it starts with facilitating a safe and transparent environment at the school board meetings. Wouldn't it be transparent to provide the public with your board book? I get that in Fort Worth ISD. They have no trouble doing that. Why don't you guys consider that? I talked about it once before. I filed an agreement. Maybe you should consider that. Then we're going to talk about the complete and utter trampling of the First Amendment. Do you guys even care about the Constitution? Do you read it? Do you know what it says? In here you have safe 5 times. When has there ever been anything that hasn't been safe at this board meeting? He is trampling 1A under the guise of safety, which is the same thing that brought in the TSA under the Patriot Act. This is very, very, very dangerous. In reading through this, you value community stakeholder input. No, you don't. All community attendees shall sign in when entering the meeting. Well, your board attorney, Lisa and Frass, on April 3rd, 2023, this has been provided to the administration. Board, you guys didn't get it because they denied my level 3 because they don't want you guys to hear the truth of what happened when they had to send me a letter and apologize to me because they gave me a trespass for doing absolutely nothing. I said Gestapo and it hurt Furier's feelings, so trying to trespass me. So it says right here, in what Lisa and Frass, in some districts, individuals who sign up for public comment are asked to provide contact information and or to indicate whether they are parents, students enrolled in the district. Asking individuals to provide this information voluntarily is allowed, but only if the information is not used to prevent speakers from addressing the board. This entire policy change, I know you did it because of me and Mary Love. I know you did. I read it. It's all about us because you don't like that we come here and we tell you the truth. The public is scared for them to come forward because you retaliate. Look, you're retaliating tonight against me and Mary for what we come here and tell you. You do retaliate, and you retaliate against your Godley ISD taxpayers. And they come to us.
Ms. Lemons, your time is now up.
I have 8 seconds left.
You have 3
They come
minutes.
to
You have
us
3 minutes to
and
talk. You're
tell
now
us.
interrupting a public meeting and receiving a warning for that.
I timed it. You know what? I'll go into your board recording and I'll time it and I'll file another grievance and I'll use your own board video to file that grievance. Okay?
Next, we have Georgia Head. Time has now begun.
Hello, my name is Georgia Head, and I'm a resident of Johnson County. I want to talk about your potential policy change of not allowing those that you consider outsiders to attend and speak at your board meetings. I hope you realize that Godley ISD is a government entity. Our country was founded on principles of transparent government and free speech. It appears that your board wishes to consider doing away with both. I hope that each of you will ask yourself why you do not want a transparent board and why you do not wish for your community and neighbors to have freedom of speech. This is an extremely serious matter. Also tonight, you'll be taking a vote on members of the Central Appraisal District Board. Did you know that how you vote on this matter has the ability to affect each and every single resident of this entire county? Why would you want to even consider silencing some of their voices? This is very, very serious. I'm asking each of you to please consider the wide-reaching effects of your votes on changes to your policy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Mary Lowe. Your 3 minutes will begin now.
Thank you, Board. I think there must be some confusion that we don't have better things to do with our time than to come here and to speak to you all. I have come at times other than a board meeting because there have been issues happening in Godley ISD that have been so important to the safety of children that we have tried to speak with board members privately so that they could take the issues to Dr. Deere, and we're unsuccessful. And we have tried to speak to Dr. Deere to the extent that he said, I don't want to speak to them. I run an organization. We operate throughout the state of Texas, and our goal is to improve relationships in the community and to create stronger relationships with ISDs. Independent school districts are under attack by the state. The state would want to do away with you and replace you with a private school or a charter school. Fundamental, and you continue to operate, is the transparency and the adherence to public free speech. In your District 11, there are only 4 schools that restrict speech to speak on any topic, and you're one of them. 71 other school districts will let someone come and address them on any issue that they feel concerning to the community. Safety. When this is more important than the safety of your students, to do proper screening so that a convicted prostitute has access and serves on a SHAC committee, a DAD committee, and is teaching cheerleading to young girls using the school address as the address of her business, you have a safety issue within your school, not in these meetings and not by outsiders coming and speaking. Now then, you have a $10,000 expense report from Dr. Deere. That comes, I don't know if he's concealing something, but I think that needs to be transparent. Exactly what is the $10,000 expense report? When all of you have expense reports that don't come close to that, you have got to stop the fiscal irresponsibility and the abuse of the taxpayer. You are 47% funded by out-of-district taxes. Please don't tell me I'm not a stakeholder or a taxpayer in your school district.
30 seconds.
My school contributes very heavily to your school district. So my taxes come here. So I don't want that used as an excuse. I want to see Godley survive and lead. But you won't do it if you're not being transparent and if you don't have someone who wants to embrace criticism and suggestions to improve a school district to protect children.
Next we have Andrea Cooper. Your 3 minutes will begin now.
Good evening, my name is Andrea Cooper, and I'm speaking on item 8E regarding revision to the board's meeting regulations. The verbiage included in this is very concerning as it is subjective, open for interpretation, and is not well defined. The verbiage refers to today's politically charged, polarized, and divisive climate, and that the students in the school district should not be politicized or used to advance radical agendas. Will this subjective verbiage be open to interpretation and subject to change at your political whim, or when you want to continue to silence voices that bring up different viewpoints? A few years ago, Godley ISD would have said the ability to encourage children to choose a gender other than how God created them would be a radical agenda. But recently, in 8th grade, your character leadership development curriculum provided a worksheet that specifically asked children to choose new attributes, and gender was highlighted as one that students could choose. Some defined that as radical. Godley ISD for 8th graders did not. Thankfully, it's been cool. The verbiage proposed in the subjective, or is subjective to the point that it can be weaponized to limit free speech, more so than it already is with other Godley ISD policy overreach. In addition, this policy specifically defines stakeholders and eliminates those who do not live within the Godley ISD from that definition. Others have spoke about where over half of your budget comes from. They're outside of the Godley district. So please respect that. You speak about stakeholders and clearly define them by excluding the majority of those that provide funding for your district because your overspending exceeds more than the Godley community can provide. Without recapture, otherwise known as Robin Hood, your funding would be half of what you spend. This policy cites Government Code 551.023, which explains the general provisions for open meetings and states it cannot impair a person from exercising rights granted under that code. The word public appears 143 times. The word stakeholder appears 0 times. Yet you're using stakeholder to eliminate the majority of the public from being welcome and speaking in your open meetings. I encourage you to read EED Legal, which you'll have already talked about. This ISD has a history of trying to silence voices. I urge the ISD to welcome all viewpoints, engage in debate, and then determine the best course of action forward on various topics. All citizens have a vested interest in the welfare of children, regardless of district boundaries. My family spent a lot of time in Godley through previous residents. I am tired of being told which children I should care about.
Thank you. Next, we have Jen Thompson. Your 3 minutes will begin now.
Good evening, Board. I'm Jennifer Thompson, a Godley ISD taxpayer, not a stakeholder. I'm speaking on 8E, the new board policy change to be legal, otherwise known as the trampling of the First Amendment in the Godley ISD. I find it deplorable that limiting freedom of speech is in the same document where it titles the page that the policy change is an effort for more transparency. Members of the board, I'm imploring you all to stand up for the public, the taxpayers, all of the taxpayers, local, state, and federal. Vote no. Terry Goodlow, I know that you enjoy your freedom to speak, as you've shown up to city council meetings many times. You have belittled many sitting council members, past and present. Imagine if that was taken away from you. If I do not see you vote no on this item, I will then confirm the hypocrisy you instill in the school board. Someone without their own voice, but someone without their own voice, and someone that will agree to whatever everyone else wants. Taking the voices away from the public, even the thought of it is appalling. This behavior must stop. Kayla Lane, thank you for being the voice of the taxpayers and not the superintendent. I would like to see some of you follow her lead. This is a time for you to make that happen. I will leave you with the language from the Bill of Rights, the First Amendment, to ponder and consider before you make this very important and historic vote. Congress shall make no respecting an establishment or make no law respecting establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abriding the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peaceable to assemble and to petition the government for the redress of grievances. Thank you.
Next, we have Amy Super. Your 3 minutes will begin now.
Thank you. I'm also speaking to AE. I'm a proud tax-paying citizen of this country residing in the greatest of our states, in which I own property, for which I pay a substantial amount of property taxes and a variety of other taxes on just about everything I purchase or use. That makes me, and everyone like me, a stakeholder in almost every decision you make while acting in your positions within Godley ISD. Your district is not just funded by the taxes from local Godley ISD residents and business owners. You receive millions in state and federal funds, which I contribute to. We live in a time when common words are being redefined to suit the ideology of whomever would attempt to redefine that which has been commonly understood. The definition of stakeholder is the following: a person with an interest or concern in something. I am deeply concerned about public education. I'm a product of public education. Our children both graduated from public schools and Texas public universities. My daughter and my daughter-in-law are both teachers. I strongly support the importance of quality public education. It provides the important part of the foundation that allows our great country to thrive on very many levels. While Texas has independent public school districts, decisions made by those both employed and elected to administer the educational needs of its community students do not impact only the individuals who reside within your district or own businesses within your district. Because if you, as administrators and school board trustees, make decisions that cause your schools to fail to produce students who receive an education which allows them to become productive, self-sustaining members of society, we all pay, literally, with our tax dollars, as individuals who are not capable of taking care of themselves will in due turn to the government for assistance. To be clear, I am not paid or compensated in any way to speak at any public meeting that allows public comments. There is this neat thing now called the internet. Individuals often turn to social media groups when they're concerned about an issue or feel as if others should be concerned or they're made aware of specific issues or decisions being concerned or being considered. If I've taken the most precious thing I have, my time to attend and prepare to make a public comment, it's because I have been made aware, almost always by someone in your community I'm visiting, about a concern or issue which they have either been unsuccessful in resolving or is an issue being considered about which I, once again, as a stakeholder, have a concern about. I implore you to not limit those who wish to allow the opportunity to publicly address any concerns related to your ISD to just those who reside or have businesses in your ISD. As I mentioned, my time is the most precious thing to me. I don't travel across the state speaking at just any public meeting for the sake of any personal gain. I can count on one hand, school board meetings, public meetings that I've been to outside of my own. I've never been to one of your meetings before, but I'm here tonight because this issue is important. I ask you not to limit public comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Greg Crumley. There's 3 minutes we'll bring up.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Craig Godley. I've lived in Johnson County all my life and have been working for the past 4.5 years to reform our broken property tax system in Austin and locally. Folks, we desperately need citizen candidates on the Central Appraisal District Board of Directors who represent us, the taxpayers. Just everyday, hardworking folks who look out for the property owner. The citizen candidates we recommend you to support are Paul Jones and Mr. Dwayne Roy, who are here tonight. Our other two nominee members, Mr. John Woods and Amy Lingo, have already been seated with overwhelming majorities, first time in history. I believe that you will find these two individuals who have willingly volunteered to serve in this capacity to be highly qualified and able to provide excellent representation to the tax-paying citizens of Johnson County while being sensitive to the needs and requirements of the taxing entities. Before our candidates step up to introduce themselves to you, I would like to assure you that the members of our group are not anti-tax zealots. We fully understand and support the need to collect tax dollars to support the services that cities, counties, and ISDs provide. We simply want taxation to be fairly applied and property values to be fairly assessed. Our goal is to ensure transparency to the property owner and the taxpayers of Johnson County. The entities that have supported our citizen candidates so far are Johnson County's Commissioners Court, the cities of Alvarado, Burleson, Cleveland, Godley, Grandview, Joshua, Mansfield, Alvarado ISD, Joshua ISD, Grandview ISD, and Rio Vista ISD. The taxpayers of Johnson County are begging for your support, and that's why we're here. The incumbents have not campaigned one single time and are not here because they feel the broken system protects them. Please vote for change. Thank you.
Next we have Dwayne Gold. Your 3 minutes will begin now.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board. I appreciate the time. As Greg mentioned, taxpayers are not confident in the policies, processes, and practices carried out at the Central Appraisal District. Nobody can trust a secret process. And a secret, I don't mean something the city has their attention. Just nobody knows. It's a mystery. Taxpayers can't know if they're getting a fair shake because they don't know what the system is. don't understand how it works. And if they understand it, maybe they're getting a fair shake and they know it. The state mandates a lot of what the city does. What they don't mandate is transparency. And that's what I'm focused on. I think it's time to shine a light on policies, processes, practices, relative to CAD. I think only the new board can do that. If the old board was going to do it, they would have done it already. And they haven't. They've made no effort to. So your choice tonight is pretty simple. You can vote to maintain the status quo as it has been for decades, the hand-picked board, and we'll continue as we have in the past. Or you go for a transparency AD, where the practices, policies, and processes are shared with the taxpayers. Now, my vision of transparency is an outreach program. The first thing of which would be a presentation available to any and all taxpayers that would explain the policies, the processes, the practices of the CAD. Taxpayers have a better chance of knowing if they're getting a fair shake. They have a better chance if they want to challenge their president. And I think that's only fair. So I'm asking for your vote for the CAD Board of Directors. If you have any questions, I'll sit down and shut up. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Paul Jones. Your 3 minutes begins now.
Good evening. I hope you're all doing well this evening. Rather than sit up here and just repeat what Dwayne said, we both believe in the same thing when it comes to the Central Appraisal District Board, which is we need a lot more transparency and a lot more understanding for the public of just what that means, the Central Appraisal District Board, and what they do. I'm all for transparency. I'm all for taxation. We need it as stated before by Godley and by credit. But a lot of the taxation is driving people out of their homes these days. The over-assessed values of homes in Johnson County is reaching a point with no return where the average person cannot afford to buy a home anymore simply because of the taxes. I'm sure everybody in this room probably knows somebody who's had to give up their home because they can't afford the taxes. I know there are a lot of people who can't buy a home because they can't afford the taxes. So I'm not going to hammer that point much longer. What I'd like to say, I would like to do is reiterate what Dwayne said about which entities are supporting us. City of Alvarado, City of Burleson, City of Cleveland, City of Godley, City of Grandview, City of Johnson, City of Godley, I'd like to say this, all their friends. City of Mansfield, the school districts which have supported us so far are Alvarado, Granbury, Grandview, Joshua, Route Vincent, Johnson County Commissioners Court, which also gives all of them. Out of all these entities, 25 entities, 14 have given us their support. All their votes are some, mostly all their votes. That leaves about 9 or 10 entities, of which 6 have not voted. And that leaves 3 entities which did not vote with what the public wants, which is members elected by the board who will represent the average taxpayer, not the incumbents, which get elected over and over and over again. Like it's just a road. Anyway, thank you for your time. That's all I've got for now. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. Of the 3 gentlemen that presented for the CAD, do y'all have a current count of votes of where you stand? Could you share that?
I have
434.
about sitting on Thursday, but they're full of us. And that's okay. Honestly, I like to see you all.
Thank you.
All right, that concludes public participation. The time is now 7:15 p.m. And before we move into business items, the board will take a short 10-minute recess. We will remain in open session. We'll just be in recess until 7:25 p.m.